What's up? Come in like that. Hey, what's up, y'all? Today we gonna be reacting. Hey, no, I'm about to start doing that. Me and my girl, we talked about this. We talking about like what should I come in with for y'all on? I'm gonna be like, hey, we figuring this out as we go. Hey, anyways. So what's up, y'all? Today I'm gonna be reacting to how Obama weakened the American the American army. Okay, I thought I said economy, but army. I'm far away from the screen. Let me pull this up a little closer. All right. Of course, it's a Thomas Sowell video. I know y'all love Thomas Sowell. I like reacting to him too. Like, I like hearing his opinion. I learned a lot. I grabbed 2 of his books the other day on Audible. I'm trying to like take time to like get into it and figure all that out. But it's okay. I want to hop right into this reaction. I don't want to waste no time, man. Let's go.
The constrained vision, and again, I'm quoting from your book, A Conflict of Visions. War is seen as originating in human nature and being contained by institutions. The unconstrained vision. Those with the unconstrained vision tend to explain war in terms of either misunderstandings or of hostile or paranoid emotions raised to such a pitch as to override rationality.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that the constrained vision is not surprised by war, but the unconstrained vision is always a little startled when a war breaks out?
Oh, absolutely. That you can take this back to the Federalists, where they said, why do we think that the 13 colonies will make war on each other if they're not united? And the answer was because that's what countries have always done. And so it's not a question of, in fact, it's not just war, it's poverty, it's crime. All those are things which people with the unconstrained vision feel needs explaining. Whereas people with a constrained vision think what needs explaining is how do we sustain peace? How do we have law and order? How do we have morality?
How would you interpret that?
That's a good point. Like those are the questions that we should be asking. How do we abstain peace? How do we have law and order? And I want to throw in my 2 cents to that, though. I agree with Thomas Sowell on that. But I'm going to throw in my 2 cents to that, though. I really think that there is no way ever that we're going to have that. I don't think it's possible. I don't think human beings have the capacity to be like that, because there's always some jackass who's going to come to power, who's going to try to mess it all up for everybody. That's exactly why socialism truly never worked. It's because some jackass came to power and took advantage of people in a time where people were in their most needed. That's how Hitler came to power, Stalin came to power, Mao came to power. Even though you could say that Mao had had a positive effect economically, not what he did to the people, the famine and all kind of things like that. I'm talking about economically. Years later, Mao's policies and the things that he put in place were effective for China to grow later. Hear what I'm saying? Later. Okay? Anyways, let's go.
I can't remember whether Robert Kennedy was quoting someone else or whether this was original to him or to his speechwriters. The quotation is something like, some see the world and ask why. I see what could be and ask why not.
Yes.
That's a kind of that's the unconstrained vision in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's a very liberal thought of Thomas Sowell. Tell me, y'all, tell me in the comments, is Thomas Sowell a conservative? And if he is, I'm confused, because a lot of conservatives like him. So, like, I see a conservative because he speaks conservative language. That was a very liberal ideology right there. What he just agreed with, what that guy just said to him, is a very liberal ideology. That's very liberal. Let's go.
John McCain in February 2003.
Favorite guy, one of my favorite guys.
The constrained and unconstrained vision as they apply to the question of warfare. In this age, liberating oppressed peoples from the tyranny of those who would do us harm, serves not only narrow national interests, but the ordered progress of freedom. Close quote. Barack Obama in August of last year. Quote, in the first 100 days of my administration, I will travel to a major Islamic forum and deliver an address to redefine our struggle. I will make clear that we will stand with those who are willing to stand up for their future, and that we need their efforts to defeat the prophets of hate and violence. Close quote.
Saw nothing wrong with that quote. What's wrong with it? Before he speaks, I see nothing wrong with that quote. People have a lot against Obama, but I'm always wondering, like, When Obama came into office, the economy was dying. When he left office, the economy was better. All Trump had to do was keep the car moving and everything would have been fine. But of course, people were upset about everything that happened in 2008 and the years prior. People thought that the greed of the wealthy class needs to be addressed, and the negative politics in Washington. But again, like, I don't think Obama did that bad of a job. I don't think he did. I don't even think he did. I don't think he did a bad job at all. Like, I can't believe they're saying he's worse than Buchanan. Like, that's how you know this shit's built on racism. Everybody who say Obama sucked, was the worst president, is a racist. I think so, in my opinion, but y'all can argue in the comments.
What do you make of those two?
I think Barack Obama has a lot more faith in verbal interactions than I would.
That's the unconstrained vision.
Oh, absolutely. You see, well, what he's proposing under the guise of change is what has been tried for 2 decades between the two world wars, and which failed disastrously in helping to bring on the Second World War.
Okay, well, that brings up another point. Is it fair to say that the constrained vision is more aware of history? That somehow or other there's an appreciation of and even a hunger for historical understanding, searching for precedent, what has worked before. Most things won't work. Therefore, we must work especially hard to discover what has worked in the past. And in the unconstrained vision, is there something, you don't say this in the book, this is a question on which I'm taking a total flyer here, but is there something almost anti-intellectual about the unconstrained vision? An unwillingness to look at the large facts of history?
There's an unwillingness to look at the facts of history, and it's anti-intellectual in the sense of intellectual processes. Unfortunately, it's all too characteristic of intellectuals as an occupational category.
But yet, I want you to understand that he just started the... I'm gonna paraphrase the quote because I don't directly remember the quote, right? But it's used a lot by liberals, right? It's used a lot by liberals. It's hoping for the future and looking for ways to find better in the future is exactly where we need to go. That was very similar to the quote that guy gave earlier, right? That right there was very similar. He agreed with that earlier, but then when Obama starts talking about he agrees with progress in the Middle East, agrees with some kind of progress that they can have in the Middle East, this guy hops in and says, well, I think he's too optimistic. I don't think that's even possible. It's very possible. It's very possible. It's very possible that someday people may put down their differences, dropped all their preconceived notions of each other and learn to love each other. It's very possible. It's very possible. There's nothing wrong with being the president and being optimistic. You should be optimistic as the president. You shouldn't be a pessimist. Like, I don't think you should. You should be honest with us to a degree, but I'm just playing. But you should be honest with us for sure. But there's nothing wrong with being an optimist as a president. I don't see his point.
Category. Between the two world wars, it was the leading intellectuals of the Western world who talked the biggest nonsense. I mean, it was Bertrand Russell who said that Britain should disarm, while Hitler was building up this military machine across the Channel. And France as well, and Russell was by no means the only one in England.
So, why? Why would the unconstrained vision prove so particularly appealing to intellectuals? I think we could say, if I said to you, what would you expect a survey of the faculties of the top 100 academic institutions in the United States to show? If we could come up with a set of questions that would show whether the faculty adhere to the constrained or the unconstrained vision, you and I would both expect a huge majority to subscribe to the unconstrained.
Oh, absolutely.
How come? Why? Why is that appealing to intellectuals?
That is a tough one. But I think that, I guess the short answer is they imagine that good people like themselves can make this thing go. And if it hasn't worked in the past, it's only because they haven't had the right people doing it. In other words, communism would have worked if it hadn't been for Stalin. But of course, once you have a system like communism, people like Stalin are the ones who will come to the fore.
All right. Back to warfare and defense. Barack Obama's plan for defense spending as of last year, I'm quoting his speech, I'll stop spending $9 billion a month in Iraq. I will cut tens of billions in wasteful spending. I will cut investments in unproven missile defense systems. I will not weaponize space. I will slow our development of future combat systems, and I will institute an independent defense priorities board to avoid unnecessary spending, close quote.
Well, that's straight out of the 30s. There were people who were saying Britain should not, but the British Labour Party in the early to mid-30s voted consistently against defense spending, and they argued that our security does not depend on armaments, but on disarmaments. And so when Chamberlain went to Munich to talk to Hitler, it wasn't just his own party, the conservatives, who applauded.
Keep in mind, this guy. Keep in mind, I agree with Obama that we need to cut back on defense spendings. We spend more than the next 10 countries combined on defense spending. We spend more. I remember seeing something somewhere where it said we spend more on defense spending than China, Russia, the Ukraine, and it was a bunch of different countries combined. It's like, if we're going to roll back on anything, instead of rolling back on poor people's jobs, why don't we roll back on defense spending? Like, if we're spending it on missile defense systems that we don't need, not defense systems, but missiles, missile defense systems we don't need, whatever he said. Whatever Obama is figuring out that's extra spending that we don't need. Like, when he was debating Mitt Romney, one of the points Mitt Romney made was he was going to give the military more money, and Obama was like, they're not asking for more money. You're just going to give them more money for no reason. So you're just going to frivolously spend on defense spending when we have things here that we need to spend on to help our citizens. Like, so what was the point of bringing up the British Labour Party? To describe that's how Obama was thinking about it? If that's the case, then it's like the British Labour Party might have been on to something in the 1930s. No one knew Hitler was going to come to power. Like, no one knew Hitler was going to come to power. No one in any other country understood that. Like, so any other leader in other countries are just taking care of the things they need to take care of now. Right now, a war just ended. And World War I, so like we need to start spending. We need to start making our spending go towards something else. No one could have predicted that there would have been another war. Like, what is he getting at? What is he getting at? I'm so triggered.
On him when he came back, it was the labor and liberals as well. He was probably the most lionized man among Western leaders, perhaps of the past century.
John McCain, you've just compared Barack Obama to Chamberlain. I'm going to see if I can get you to compare John McCain to Churchill. How's that?
That's a little bit harder, but
all right, I'll take a shot at John McCain. It's very hard to find, at least I found it hard to find, an elaborated defense spending plan in McCain's website and campaign of proposal. But he has at least at one point advocated an across-the-board federal spending freeze, but accepted defense spending from that freeze. And he would also, this is a quotation from a recent speech, increase the size of the U.S. Army and Marine Corps from the currently planned level of roughly 750,000 troops to 900,000 troops, close quote. So, what you get in John McCain, this I think is fair to say, even if I can't find a specific proposal to get you to comment on, the notion that here's federal spending and here's defense spending, and it occupies, because it must, a privileged position within the structure of federal spending. What do you make of that?
Well, I think he recognized that you have to survive before you do anything else.
All right. So that strikes you as just good common sense.
Yes.
And McCain doesn't strike you as too belligerent?
Defending himself is not belligerent.
All right.
Okay. Y'all know how I feel about Thomas Sowell. I definitely think, I don't know. Like, he's a conservative, and I don't fully disagree with everything conservatives say. But some of the things is just off, man. I think, like, I don't know. But then I understand why they think we need a military to. No, we need a military, of course. But I think we need to put so much in. I don't know why people think we need to put so much into it, though. Like, I think that's our highest spending. Like, is our military budget, and I know, like, we definitely need a military. But China doesn't spend as much on their military. They spend on their infrastructure. And that's why they're, in a sense, almost surpassing us. We need to spend more on our infrastructure. I thought it was crazy. A friend of mine told me this, right? This isn't random. This ties into everything we're talking about. He started a car lot. And in order for, like, him to have I forgot what it's called, but it's a license basically to be able to purchase cars, right? It costs damn near 6 figures to get it. And when you get that license, you can buy any kind of car off of these auction websites, like for hundreds, like $100 at the most, $200, $300. And I just thought it was really interesting. I just thought it was extremely interesting that it costs that much to do that. We should relegate some money back from that. But hey, y'all, peace out.